Hey friends, this is Mike. Today we're going to talk about going overboard with orbs. I think there's some danger in that, and it doesn't resonate with me. You know, when you start going down the orb rabbit hole, if you will, what happens when you do that? So stand by. Hello again, friends and fellow truth seekers. Mike Nicholas here with another episode of the Soul Unleashed podcast, where my goal is to help you with the questions you might have regarding the awakening of your soul, and particularly to help other left brain types like I know I am ask the right questions in our search for a deeper meaning to life. And ultimately, of course, I want to help you unleash your soul from limiting beliefs and smothering paradigms. So let's talk about orbs a little bit. I've talked about them a lot on this podcast, I know. But what happened recently was I started looking on the internet, for information about orbs, and I found some papers about it. When you do something like that, I'm not telling anybody that's listening to this anything you don't know, but when you start looking for stuff on the internet, somehow they know, and you start getting all kinds of stuff sent to you about orbs. And so I've seen some things that I think are a little bit off the wall. Now, just to review my experience with orbs, it started in 2020 after our son passed, and I started to see them on video cameras. So my experience has been with moving orbs. 10, 15, 20 minute, up to a minute videos of orbs moving around my rooms, moving around my house, moving around my person, and some other cool things. Now, prior to the video thing, people have been seeing orbs for a long time on digital cameras, regular cameras actually, but regular cameras, when people would take pictures, you wouldn't get them developed till sometimes weeks later, and you weren't necessarily looking for orbs. Now people are going back and finding old photographs, and they're discovering what they're describing as orbs in the pictures. I met a lady, I guess about 2 years ago, when I was, going down the orb rabbit hole, if you will. I wanted to know what they were. I wanted to know why I was seeing them. I wanted to know what message orbs had for me. Why was this experience something that I was being given? And it led me to a lady, nice person. She lived a couple hours away, and I drove to her house. And she has a book that she does of orbs. Like, she sees hundreds of them outside and in her backyard. And she takes beautiful pictures, and they're in color, and they've got things inside them. I didn't see any faces, but she told me she sees faces. And I've seen other websites. There's a website called Orbs Are For Real, or Orbs Are Real, by a lady named Sherry, and she's been very nice also. And I've long believed that even those things that you see on cameras like that are indicative of something that's beyond our experience in this physical realm, right? So what happened was, as I started getting all this stuff dumped on me, one of the things I saw was a paper, and the paper is by a gentleman who definitely doesn't believe that orbs are real, right? His name is Stephen Parsons. I'm going to put the links to all the stuff in the show notes, but Mr. Parsons wrote a paper called Orbs, A Load of Balls, cleverly enough, and this was from 2010. At the time, he was exploring the phenomena of orbs being captured by digital cameras. In 2010, they were certainly around, but they've come a long way since then. But he was talking about how they capture things, and as you might have guessed, his conclusion is it's all a bunch of malarkey. Okay, I don't think he uses the word malarkey. Maybe that's a 2010 word. But he thinks they are easily explained. In fact, the subtitle to his paper is, "At Last, Some Definitive Evidence That They Are Not Paranormal." And as it turns out, Mr. Parsons is apparently a paranormal investigator. And so he goes into haunted homes, and he's got all this fancy equipment and microphones and cameras that pick up stuff and whatever. And I've met these people, and some of them are really into it. I guess Mr. Parsons is also. And my sense from reading his paper is that he felt that all these sudden devotees to orbs are seeing things that are not really paranormal, and they're kind of messing up his business because they're snapping photographs every place where he's trying to go in with all this special sensitive equipment, and all these rubes show up with cameras, digital cameras, and they're taking pictures and oohing and ahhing over what he thinks is just artifacts. And he describes it as, dust, moisture, all these kind of examples. And the coup de grace for this, the way he destroyed the orb thing in his mind, is he got some kind of camera that takes stereo pictures. So you look through the camera, and it's got two lenses. I don't know how it works technically, but it takes two pictures of the same scene, and he has examples in this paper of an orb in one picture and no orb in the other. The exact same time, the exact same camera, the exact same instant he pressed the shutter. They both fired. One picked up an orb, one did not. And he concludes that is conclusive evidence that it's some type of artifact that the angle of the lens of the one camera picked it up and the other one did not. And so it's not anything paranormal. It's just that the light or the moisture or the whatever it was. Anyway, that's his conclusion. So that's fine. He didn't really touch on video orbs, but I'm sure that his conclusion would have been the same, that it's dust or something else. And I really don't care what he thinks. I know what I think, but that's kind of one end of the spectrum, that orbs are nonsense, that orbs are not real, right? And then at the other end, there are people that, and that's the whole point of this podcast, there are people that go off on the deep end about what orbs are. And I'm going to just mention one lady in particular. I don't mean to denigrate her or make fun of her, but I'm simply saying that I can't relate to what she's doing, right? Her name is Diana Cooper. I've got a link in the show notes to her also. She is seriously into orbs, and I worry about, this is where I do not want to go, right? For those of you that listen to my podcast, I'm on this kind of spiritual journey. We all are. But I don't see orbs taking me someplace that another whole set of beliefs or whatever. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to read you some of the things that are on her website. She has courses about archangel oracle attunement, and that you can get into all kinds of archangels, meet the archangels. I don't even know who they are. Gabriel, Raphael, you've heard of Michael, but Metatron, the archangel, I can't pronounce it, Philea, the angel of animals. Meet the dragons. She's got a course on Merlin, the magician, and how the orbs are related to Merlin, and it's quite a business and quite comprehensive. I think she's in England, and I'm not saying that this is wrong. It's just not right for me. And the reason it's not right for me is because my whole thing is with the Soul Unleashed, is that I want to be free from this a confining paradigm, if you will, telling me how to believe and what I should believe. And I've tried to break free from how I was raised. Not that it was done wrong or done with any kind of bad intention, but I just felt confined by a lot of the structure that I had been given through my Catholic faith. And then I think there's something going on that's beyond Catholicism. And I don't want to swap that for another whole set of beliefs that deal with Archangel Megatron and a whole bunch of other dudes and dragons and magicians that are also going to determine what I do with my life. I just don't need that stuff. And so my thing is, I'm not going to swap one paradigm for another paradigm and get into this whole archangel alignment or the unicorn documentary. I'm reading some other things she's got here. Connect with the Archangel Christiel to work with the unicorns, who is Master Merlin the magician. It's just not for me. So, in addition to this weird stuff that I came across and the absolute orbs or nonsense thing, I found kind of a beautiful place in the middle. And this one place is a paper I came across. I'm sure I'm going to mangle it here, but her name is in the show notes. Her name is Mara Steenhuisen-Siemonsma, and don't take my word for it. Just look at the link. But Mara here wrote a PhD paper, and it's a very extensive paper. So if you're interested in kind of a very academic look at orbs, she does an amazing job. It's like 300, almost 400 pages. A lot of pictures involved. And she looks at people going down the rabbit hole of orbs, people that assign meaning to them, assign archangel names, people that assign meaning to the colors. for me, I see orbs as these gray moving things. They don't have color because I see them through infrared. I did see orbs. For those of you that have followed me on the YouTube channel, I have some YouTube videos that I posted where I saw orbs through my cell phone, which was not IR, and they come across as blue to me. But I don't assign that to the Blessed Mother. According to Mara, a lot of her research is people see blue orbs, they assign to a specific angel. Specific angels, archangels have colors apparently, or blue being the Blessed Mother. But I don't want to go there. That's not important to me. It's important to me that I validate and test and believe that orbs, whatever they are something that are not part of this earthly experience. So, I guess just to sum this whole thing up, read Mr. Parsons' paper if you're not an orb believer. I'm sure he'll make sense to you. If you're really into orbs and want to go down that path to unicorns and archangels and Merlin the Magician, then Diana Cooper is for you. And if you want to just look at the big middle, I guess, and some more academic or scholarly research, I refer you to this lady Mara and her paper, because I found that fascinating. And there's tons of other books out there. So for me, the orbs, what they represent, and it came across at a time when I was very suffering emotionally through the loss of our son. And Mara mentions this in her paper, that a lot of the people that she interviews, hundreds of people that have seen orbs. She has an acronym for them. I can't remember what it was, but it's pretty catchy. And people that she interviewed that see the orbs, many of them relate that it happened during a very emotional period of their life. So that they lost somebody, or they went through a very difficult period, or a divorce, or whatever, and the orbs started to provide them comfort. And that is exactly what happened with me. For those of you that know my story, it was a very difficult day. I was really missing my son. I had been crying that day because some things happened that really reminded me of him. And that night is when the first orbs started to make themselves known to me, and I received a lot of comfort from that. My wife and I both did, and that continued. And then we saw more than one orb. We saw 2 orbs, and then 4 orbs, then 50, and then 100. And sometimes we'd be in a room, and there'd be so many orbs floating around us and moving throughout the room, different directions. We were sure that it wasn't just our son, but that there was a presence, a spiritual presence that was there to provide comfort to us. Some of the best videos I posted on my website, MikeNicholas.com. There's a few up there. I have thousands because when your camera picks them up, these all get picked up by my security camera. It automatically records them, right? Or I tell it to record them. And so I just been saving these clips, and they go anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute, basically, of hundreds of orbs. But that's what they mean to me. I refuse to go down the rabbit hole. I refuse to swap one set of beliefs and structure for another set of beliefs and structure. And I think you can believe in orbs and still maintain your current spirituality. I can believe in orbs, that they represent the power of spirit, and still believe in Jesus Christ, and still believe in my Catholic religion. Basically, I'm not a non-Catholic. I still believe in Jesus Christ, and I still believe that there's a spirit, certainly in God. This is not the time for me to list everything I believe and don't believe, because I do believe in things the Catholic Church would frown upon, specifically reincarnation and soul journeys and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome, but not the subject of this podcast. But I'm just saying it's not an incompatible thing for you. If you see orbs, or you want to see orbs, and you manage to pick them up on your camera, or you manage to photograph them, believing in them as some type of spiritual presence, I don't think is at odds with your belief in God or your belief in Jesus Christ. So that's my subject for today. Don't go overboard with orbs. Accept them for what they are. believe me, I spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. Went to priests and to the church and everything else, and it doesn't matter that much to me anymore. It just matters that I believe that there's something special and that they're here to make me do some other things, this podcast being one of them. So thank you for listening. As always, you can find me at MikeNicholas.com or write to me at mike@MikeNicholas.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Some of you are leaving me notes, I know, when you listen to things, either here on my YouTube channel, and I really appreciate that. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.